Right now on 10 News, a San Diego police officer arrested this week for sexual battery, while the investigation could go as far back as a year.
Plus, this series of legal maneuvers putting the 2011 Chargers season in serious jeopardy.
And from one mishap to another, the freeway spill involving a truckload of dead sardines.
You just saw 2020's coverage of Japan's 8.9 earthquake and the tsunami which swept across the Pacific.
New tonight, the rescue of a San Diego family nearly swept away by the surge and the incredible images you haven't yet seen. Right now, it's 4 p.m. Saturday in Japan, and here is the latest on the devastation. At least 400 people are confirmed dead, with 800 more currently missing, but that number is expected to rise quickly. More than 125 aftershocks have rattled the region today, and a second earthquake measuring 6.8 hit the region in the same area.
We begin our coverage tonight with 10 News reporter TJ Winnick in New York with the major disasters caused by this massive earthquake.
Good evening, Hal and Kimberly. There are thousands of Americans in Japan tonight, and while the U.S. State Department has not said they need to be evacuated yet, the humanitarian catastrophe in that country threatens to worsen in the days ahead.
The 8.9 magnitude monster earthquake struck Japan in the middle of the day. Workers remain trapped in city buildings, residents in their homes. The U.S. has pledged to help with supplies and with rescue efforts.
This is a potentially catastrophic disaster.
Thousands may have been killed, tens of thousands are still missing. Millions of survivors are without power, many are homeless. Highways and suburban streets have been split open, hideously warped. It all started early Friday morning, 15 miles below the ocean's surface. The earth plates shifted, one lunging up over the other. For those living by the coast, it meant a 23-foot tsunami. Boats and shipping containers broke away as if they were toys. Whole buildings collapsed. This oil refinery exploded, and power was cut to the Fukushima nuclear power plant, now in great jeopardy. Experts believe the quake knocked out the power to the primary and backup water pumps, which cools the plant's uranium core. If there's no water, there's no cooling. That could trigger a release of radioactive steam into the environment, or if the water level drops enough, the core is exposed, and that could cause a meltdown.
They're not being designed to withstand the worst case accidents. They're only being built to withstand the most likely. If you do that, eventually you're going to hit a worst case, and that's what happened.
According to one U.S. official, this could be one of the largest humanitarian operations the U.S. has ever taken part in. In New York, TJ Winnick, 10 News. Hal and Kimberly, back to you.
And this just into our newsroom, an official with Japan's Nuclear Safety Commission says that a meltdown at 2 nuclear power plants, a meltdown, is possible.
Just hours after the great quake struck off the coast of Japan, tsunami surges reached our coast. 10 News reporter Preston Phillips is in Ocean Beach with video of today's aftermath and a surge that nearly washed a local family away.
Now I'm standing just south of the OB Pier, and these are the rocks here where the mom, grandma, and 2 kids were standing, with this entire area filled up like a bathtub within a matter of minutes. They would have been washed to sea had it not been for a lifeguard who happened to be jogging by.
The water probably changed about 7 feet difference in about 3 minutes.
From San Diego all the way to the northernmost part of California, tsunami surges consistently made their way to shore hours after the 8.9 magnitude earthquake struck just off the coast of Japan. Boat captain Troy Sears shot this subtle tsunami surge from a small boat in San Diego's Marriott Marina. At first, you see the water moving towards shore. Then as it moves back out to sea, things get really rough.
It's normally a flat calm right here.
It's normally as calm as could be in there, and within a matter of moments, shutting off my engine and getting sucked into the marina, and then sucked out of the marina and into a very small little rapid almost.
Then as we continue up the coast, the tsunami surges become even more intense. This one left the path of destruction in Santa Cruz Harbor. Boats ended up in unusual positions as many broke away from their moorings, crashing into piers. Then watch what happens as this surge comes in. In Crescent City, California, just south of the Oregon border, the tsunami surge not boats away from their moorings, but reportedly swept the man out to sea. Back here in San Diego, this tsunami surge covers the jetty just west of North Island. And watch this time-lapse video from this morning in San Diego's Mission Bay that shows when the waves hit. Along with several other surges, navigational buoys like this one, held down by heavy anchors, were pulled a good mile toward shore from their original location out at sea.
It's subtle, like you don't see the rapid movement, but it's still very powerful.
And for the man who was reportedly washed out to sea near Crescent City, the Coast Guard has suspended its search for him. Reporting tonight from Ocean Beach, Preston Phillips, 10 News.
As tsunami surges washed ashore today, Governor Jerry Brown declared a state of emergency in Del Norte, Humboldt, San Mateo, and Santa Cruz counties.
Now, as TJ Winnick showed us, the second tier of destruction started last night 15 miles below the ocean's surface.
Well, the Earth's plate shifted, one lunging up over the other, immediately shocking the Earth, and here you see creating the catastrophic earthquake, which resulted in the tsunami that we all saw last night. It sent 43-mile journey as the waves hit the shore. Geologist Dr. Pat Abbott is joining us live now. He joined us last night as the devastation unfolded.
Joins us once again to explain the magnitude of what took place. We want to look at some video, some remarkable video people may have seen earlier of a whirlpool in the ocean. Can you explain to us exactly what's going on here?
Well, there's such enormous amounts of energy taking place here. The rocks pushing that, moving rocks, loading the water with all that energy. There's not so much energy, the water can't always just run smoothly in some direction. And here, this is very common where you'll end up with some of these swirls where some of that energy is basically handled simply by spinning in place because there's not enough room to physically move over the landscape.
Japan is in what we call the Ring of Fire. What is that?
Well, the ring around the whole Pacific Ocean basin, we have subduction, like as the animation showed there, the big moving plates. And that Ring of Fire gives us the earthquakes we just experienced, and also with those for the area are the volcanoes. For us, you know, that was Mount St. Helens, as we see right there. The volcanoes run all the way through Central America, down west coast of South America, North Island of New Zealand, coming all the way up the west side there through the Philippines with Mount Pinatubo, Mount Fuji, Japan, volcanoes, and the world's largest earthquakes occur around that whole Ring of Fire.
Now, we've seen, of course, what the tsunami did to Japan. We're going to show a map right here and have you explain a little bit what would have happened if a similar tsunami had hit here in San Diego.
It's the low-lying areas. You look at how our coastline looks now with a surge of water of that larger size coming in, and a lot of our familiar lowlands are gone. We don't see Mission Beach, the Midway District, Lindbergh Field, some of those areas are underwater. Look over there at Coronado, North Island area. Much of that area is submerged. We have a lot of low-lying ground, and it's susceptible to being flooded, as we have seen.
A minute ago, we showed the animation of the actual earthquake plates moving there under the ocean and how that pushed the water up and caused the tsunami. But explain for us how Japan's position on that Pacific plate makes it susceptible to these kind of earthquakes.
It's the whole Pacific Ocean floor, if you will, but not just the floor, but tens of miles below it. It's like a huge conveyor belt moving from the southeast towards Japan, and then it's pulled underneath Japan. So to have this a massive volume of rock pulled and moved, the energy from that rock movement transmitted into the water, and then we see these tsunamis that are just overwhelming. They're just impossible to live with.
The plate literally pulls itself under Japan?
That's the main thing. It's the pull of the plate. It's an older, colder plate. It's denser. It's turned, and in the collision, it's gone under, and then it is literally pulled back into the mantle. And it's that pull, each time one of those major pulls causes it to physically move, it's the huge earthquake. And in this case, since it's also the sea floor, the movement of the sea floor, we load the water full of energy.
All right, Dr. Abbott, thanks for joining us. Always appreciate your input.
Good to be here.
Yeah.